What is going on, everyone? Welcome along to another tactics video here on FIFA 22. My name's Ash, aka Brommer18, and thank you for joining me in another edition of the series. If you're new to the channel, what we do in this series is I show you how to recreate and adapt real systems so that they will actually work in game. Now, this isn't a promise that you will win every game. That's not what the tactics are about. They are purely about recreating the tactic as effectively and as realistically as possible. So today we are covering Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea side, of course, taken England by storm really, of course, win the Champions League and now in full swing in the Premier League. Before we get into that though, first of all, here is a quick word from the sponsor of today's video. For the foreseeable future, I'm partnering with Aniba. Aniba.com is a new online gaming marketplace which offers over 20,000 digital products such as video games and DLC codes, with the library of products expanding all the time. Aniba looks to provide you the best deals on the market for all of its products, whether they're new or old, and with an excellent Trustpilot score, you can rest assured that your service is safe and secure. Aniba also offers a 24/7 live support service should you have any concerns or issues with your purchase. Use the code BROMMER18 at checkout to get 3% off of all of your purchases. And a massive thank you to Aniba for supporting the channel. So moving on to the tactic then, what do we have? Well, we have really what is a 3-4-2-1. Very versatile, lots of movement, very intelligent really, and you're really seeing a lot of this sort of German coaching style in play that we speak about a lot on the channel really, and it's really at the forefront of the game at the moment, I guess, particularly in England as well. So in terms of these videos, if you are new, what I'll do is I'll show you the formation up first and I'll talk about any position changes we have, and then we'll go into the tactics and I will discuss not only sort of say what they do and what to set them as, but also why they do it as well, because I think it's important to give some context to each thing. And we'll also do the player instructions and I'll show you each one as well, and I'll talk to you about any sort of changes that we need to make. So first things first, the formation. It is a 3-4-2-1 as I've already alluded to. So what I do is I actually set it to 3-4-1-2, if we can find it here. And I actually move the cam over to right or left attacking midfield, and then move one of the strikers to the other attacking midfield. So now you've actually got two left and right attacking midfielders. We've got these two as holding midfielders, Jorginho and Kante in this case. And what we've got here is the wing backs are actually right and left midfielders, and the reason being is that then it allows them to not only get wider but also get further forward as well. And because on the instructions we're going to set them to come back on defence, it means you don't need to worry about them not bedding back in and forming a back five. You will still see, as you'll see in the gameplay above me, that they do form a back five, and it does a really good job of recreating that, does the game. The reason why we've got these two as attacking midfielders rather than say right or left wing is that it does mean that they drop into those half spaces a little bit more compared to right and left wing when they're pretty much playing on the last man. You know, in a lot of times, at least their base positions. So as attacking midfielders, you do get to replicate their roles a little bit more effectively. So moving on to the tactics. Starting off defensively, we have press after possession loss, very much about counter pressing, and that is really that sort of German style in play. They won't press all the time unless they're really chasing the game, and that's something we'll probably talk about a little bit later on, but it's more about just pressing when they lose the ball. Hopefully you can try and retain possession for more. I know it's a bit harder on FIFA because of what the opposition AI do, but that is really the emphasis of the entire formation. And with the width, this is down to 10, and we're really this season going more aggressive and more dramatic with the width in these videos. We're taking it down to 10 now. Try and make it as compact as possible. Stop teams playing through you. Stop those gaps forming. That's what all the best teams do. When they're defending, really become narrow, condense, and yeah, just try and force teams to play around them. With the depth, this is actually up to 90. Now, you did notice a little bit of issues because of the fact you've got Silva and Rudiger up there, but at the same time, you are trying to really complement that counter-pressing style. You've also got to bear in mind that now, because you've got three at the back, you can be a little bit more lenient with that. Now, obviously, there is a range of different centre-backs that they can play and do have, and that you can sign as well to sort of counter that. But you know, you should be okay generally with what you've got available. Don't forget Azpilicueta does also play at centre back as well, so that's also very, very handy. In terms of offensively, we of course have build up play and chance creation in FIFA 22 now. So with build up play, it's slow build up. You're very much trying to encourage them playing through the first. They will play out the back, and part of the reason why they do this sort of 5 back or 3 back is to allow them to do that, because teams who do that have greater ability to really play out from the back, because there's more options. You know, they're not, say if you've got 2 centre backs and they split, you know, and then you've got to have a midfielder dropping in this case, you can have the 2 centre backs split, you've still got a centre back there, and another central midfielder such as Jorginho, who is a deep line playmaker, can drop in as well. Again, more options. So essentially just helps them to do that. But then with chance creation, it's forward runs, and it's about really trying to exploit the space that you create. In particular, you've got Havertz and Mount, or it could be anyone, Werner, Ziyech, etc. These attacking midfielders really creating a lot of movement, utilising those runs, and so it just becomes more of a threat, and it's harder for the opposition to really keep track of them. Moving on to the width, this is up to 80, and this is very, very important, because what I noticed is otherwise the attacking midfielders don't get wide enough. What you have to remember is that they've got to come out and support the wing backs, because they're the only people on the wing, the 2 wing backs. So with this on 80, it does allow you to do that more. You'll find Mount and Havertz drifting out wide a little bit more. Now we will change this on the instructions as well, but it is further complemented when you've got this width wide. So we've got this on 80, and then you are able to do that. Do remember though that the centre backs will split very, very drastically when you've got this so wide as well. So just remember that in case you do lose the ball. With players in the box, this is up to 7, meaning roughly 3 to 4. You'll usually have the 3 attacking midfielders and then potentially one of the wing backs as well. Usually it'll be the other winger crossing the ball in, which means again, yeah, 3 to 4 players. And then finally with corners and free kicks, both of these are up to 4. We are trying to personalise that this year, but the majority of teams stick to the same principles. Usually 1 or 2 players back, another one on the edge of the box, and the rest of them in the box. And it's no different with Chelsea either. Unfortunately, we can't change the defensive set pieces, because otherwise we would go zonal, but you know, that's the best we can do. So for corners and free kicks, both of them are on 4. So then we can now move into the player instructions. We'll start off with the keeper and work our way through the field. So first things first, with Mendy, he's on sweeper keeper and comes to crosses. We've already spoken about the high line. That sweeper keeper will enable you to support that. Now there is an issue with FIFA 22 at the moment that I'm noticing, where keepers aren't coming out as much. Their starting positions are deeper. It is getting frustrating, because I have conceded goals from that issue. In fact, I think that was a problem in the gameplay that you'll see above me as well, was that, you know, he wasn't coming out enough, but we still set it to it anyway. You might have to take a more of a manual role to fix that, but he is on sweeper keeper and comes across as well, to try and play as that front-footed aggressive style keeper. The 3 centre backs are actually all fine. You don't need to change any of them at all. The only thing I was looking at was, if I can find it here somewhere, step up, as for one of them, because of the fact that on this game centre backs just drop off all the time. They'll just go back and back and back. They don't push out enough, but unfortunately it just doesn't quite work out well enough, so we keep it on normal, and that's really the best you're going to get there. With the 2, I guess we can do the wing backs first. Both of these are on the same instructions, both Chilwell and James. Also worth mentioning, I do have Chilwell in here. I know Alonso has generally been playing over Chilwell, who has had a little bit of injury concerns. But Alonso on this game, he's just really bad. You know, he's got like a 58 pace, and unfortunately on this game, pace is just so important. It's just everything, you know, so you cannot have a wing back on 58 pace. It is just a no-go zone. It's just a non-starter. So unfortunately, we have Chilwell in instead. But as for the instructions, both of these on comeback on defence, we already spoken about it. Because of that, they will play as out-and-out wing-backs. They'll drop off and form a back 5 when they need to. And then chance creation, stay wide. You want these guys on the touchlines as wide as possible, creating that width. Always on that side, always offering the switch as well. That's something we do exploit very often, playing as in this tactic with this system. And then support runs is unbalanced, and you get a nice variety here between them running in behind and coming short. You know, what I found often was the issue when I had this on getting behind and I was testing out the tactic, was that often, because they were constantly trying to get in behind the opposition back line, there wasn't that short option. And it was a bit harder to play through the thirds and up the pitch, particularly with forward runs as well. They're going to be trying to move as often as possible. With balanced, you'll notice that we were really getting a lot of 1-2s in, and it was enabling us to build up through the thirds a lot more effectively and a lot quicker as well. Finally, with support on crosses, these are on getting to the box for cross. As we've already spoken about, a fullback will get in at some point, because usually it'll be the other fullback who is crossing the ball in. So next up, onto the holding midfielders. First off, we'll start with Jorginho, who is, of course, the deep line playmaker in this system. Defensive behaviour is cut passing lanes, and that will be the same for Kante as well. And Chelsea very much about a lane orientated press. They're not going man to man. Again, that sort of German style coaching that we do speak about. And then attacking support, stay back while attacking. You know, he's very much going to be that, I guess, not to sound like a football manager guy, but like that sort of regista role, and he's always offering the option. He's very much a pivot in terms of your possession, and you're able to rest on him, and that will play into positioning freedom, which is on free roam. Very, very handy instruction that has been added to the game this year that was most welcome. It enables you to set someone to really show for the ball when you're trying to play it out, when you're trying to play it around as well, and he does that very, very effectively. So really replicates that role of the deep line playmaker, and with defensive position on cover wing to make sure you are filling those gaps when the likes of Chilwell and James have, of course, gone forward. Now, with Kante on the other hand, there is a couple of different changes. First things first, with attacking support, rather than on stay back, he's on balanced. Very much since Maurizio Sarri came to Chelsea, and you saw it replicated under Lampard and now Tuchel as well, he's getting forward a lot more. Rather than playing that out-and-out defensive midfield role, he is getting forward a bit more. He is becoming more technically advanced as well, even at 30 years old. And so that's what you're really seeing in action. With interceptions, this is on aggressive. Now, aggressive interceptions do tend to degrade stamina, but if you've got the right players and the right role, you can do it well. And with Kante, of course, he's got 97 stamina, so absolutely no problem with that. And also, you're trying to replicate that defensive midfielder as well in him, the fact that he's always trying to win the ball, he's always there. The best way to do this is to have this on aggressive interceptions. You're really noticing trying to pop up there and thereabouts in the gameplay. Always trying to poach the ball as often as possible. So that was really, really handy. And also defensive behaviour, cut passing lanes as well, as we've already spoken about. Next, moving on to the two attacking midfielders. Again, these two have got the exact same instructions, both Mount and Havertz in this case. First things first, come back on defence. You want to make sure that they're tracking back as often as possible. Should only be Lukaku, who is that outball staying forward. And then support on crosses, get into the box for the cross as well. Important to note that sometimes these guys will be crossing the ball in as well. Not as often as the likes of James and Chilwell, but occasionally they will, because of course, as we're going to mention shortly, they'll be drifting wide. In which case, maybe even Kante will get into the box, but that will only be a sporadic, really occasional occurrence. With positioning freedom on drift wide, this is very, very important, as we've already alluded to. They've got to be coming out wide to support these guys on the edge, and also to try and exploit the space. We talk about the movement. What's so good about Mount and Havertz in these roles is that they're really built around movement, exploiting space, creating space with that movement for other players to run into. So very much a free roll. And the reason why we've got drift wide rather than free roam is because with free roam, you'll notice they'll sometimes be dropping too deep, because it is literally a free roll and they can go anywhere on the pitch, really. And so they'll drop very deep. And you don't want that. You want them to stay in those advanced areas. You want them to be in those pockets of space in between the midfield and defence of the opposition. And that's why we go drift wide instead, just to make sure that they are coming out wide. And so that's it for the attack midfielders. Finally, with Lukaku, we've got stay central. Make sure that he is that resting point, that outlet up top in the middle. And so it should be the likes of Mount and Havertz coming out wide. He should not be drifting out wide. And then as attacking runs, he's on target man. It will enable you to play to his strengths. You know, utilise his strength, literally, backing into players, and then you can try and play into him. Now, unfortunately, in the gameplay that you'll see, Arsenal did a very good job. Their centre defensive midfielders both locking off the pass to him. They were blocking off the lanes, and so we found it harder to try and play up to him from the centre backs, because that's what they often do. They'll play into him with a really good ground pass, and he can hold it up. Shame my defensive midfielders can't do that. You know, the user team's central midfielders are absolutely terrible and go missing all the time. Just leave a load of space. But the defensive midfielders in this case for Arsenal did a very good job of locking it off. But if you can get that option, then make sure to try and play into him as often as you can, because he can really utilise his strength and hold it up and then get other players playing in around him. Finally, with defensive support, he's on stay forward to make sure, for the same reason, he is that outlet. You can play it to him when you need to. The only issue is on defensive corners, he will of course trap back, and then Kante is usually the one up front. So that is a little bit annoying, but we have to deal with it, unfortunately. Right, so that just about really rounds it off. In terms of a couple of other players, we'll tell you what their roles are as well. I imagine people are going to ask me, what about when Werner plays? Now, against Manchester City, Werner actually played up front with Lukaku in a 2, and they actually didn't have these attacking midfielders. They had it as like a flat 3 instead, and it didn't work, obviously, because they lost against Manchester City 1-0. So we'll stick to Werner in these sort of attacking midfield roles, and you just want to do the same. You know, it'll be exactly the same for him in those sort of roles, getting into the box, drifting wide. Just try and utilise his pace and his movement as much as possible. That's something he's very, very good at. You know, you have to remember, if you get him on the left as well, that's a role very similar to the one he did play at Leipzig under Julian Nagelsmann. So I think you could have a lot of success playing him in that role. So very much worth thinking about that. With Mateo Kovacic, if you've got him in there, usually I see him in there instead of Kante. I rarely see him and Kante team up together. It's usually Kovacic and Jorginho. In that case, the only thing you want to do is you want to change aggressive interceptions to normal, and the reason being is that Kovacic only has 79 stamina, so you're going to find that it's draining on him a lot more. And when in that central midfield position where they're going to be covering a lot of ground, you don't really want that if possible. So you do want to change that to normal. Best to really play Kovacic if you are playing against a team who perhaps you expect to be beating, perhaps a much lower rated team, whereas Kante will be much more handy in those games against the likes of, you know, Man United, Man City, Liverpool, etc. So that would really round it off for this video then, guys. If you've got any questions about the tactic whatsoever, please do not hesitate to get at me in the comment section, and I will do my best to get back to you. I'll try and reply to every single comment if I can, excuse me. So do leave a comment in the section, and I will do my best to get back to you. Please be sure to go and check out my Borussia Dortmund career mode series. It is a realistic series. Try and build it in the right way, utilise a philosophy, realistic transfers, gameplay, tactics, etc. All that good stuff. Go and give that one a check out if you haven't seen it already, and check out any of my other tactics videos as well. We've only got Pep Guardiola and Tuchel so far. By the time you're watching this, some of you may have other ones out as well. Don't forget to check out Aniba. The links to them are in the description. Use the code BROMA18 to get a 3% discount on all your purchases. And check out any of the other links in the description. Follow me on Twitter. The link is in the description. And also check out my Amazon affiliate links. Links to all of my gear, my equipment, etc. I do get a little kickback, and it is a really good way to support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and ring the bell so that you get notifications every time I upload a video. On that note, we are going to round it off there. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you soon.